Good early Monday morning, YouTube. It is 5 a.m. here, or at least like 5:20 by this point. And actually I'm in the office pretty early, if you can tell there. So, what's getting done this week? First up, I got some coffee there, but secondly, what am I listing? I think first I'm going to start on that pile right there. This is not part of that, but then some other stuff is here. Let's just get a few oddball, big old camera items listed that I really didn't want to get listed, so let's get them up. Okay, let's get this camera framed up here, and I think I'm going to do a bit of camera testing on camera here, because I haven't done that in a little while. First up here, a Fujifilm ST605, no, 705, and this one here, first off, we're going to snip the straps on these. Find my scissors, grab that, snip it right off there. Reason we generally snip the straps on these is just because they're bulky and ugly in photos, and people who have these types of cameras generally have their own strap they like to put on there, unless it's a fancy strap or a nicer strap. Generally do. You can test all the shutter speed without putting a battery in this one, as far as I know. There's bulb, meaning it stays open as long as the shutter button is pressed down. Just open the back here so you can see it. 1 second, seems pretty good. Quarter second. 60th of a second. And let's just go, well, this one goes all the way to 1500th of a second. So that's pretty cool. A little bit faster than most of the consumer available cameras. There are a couple that went to 1/2000th, but for the most part, they're all 1/1000th of a second. Back in the, I don't know, probably early 80s when this one came out. Almost at late 70s, but probably early 80s. That's about when this one was out. Open the battery cover, which on this one is on the back of the camera here. And 1 button cell battery, nope, 2 button cell batteries of this small button cell type. That is very standard for these cameras. And watches, I believe this is a 377 type battery, but there's a few different names for it. Generally, or let's see, a 357/303 is another standard one. And also I use like these DL1 or something dual button cell batteries. It's in one enclosure there, but it's like 2 of these. Let's figure out if I can find a working one. Let's try that one out there quick. Should probably sort my batteries into working and not working, but that always changes. And my battery's flashing, so I guess this camera's probably gonna run out here pretty soon. Charging a battery, but not quite ready yet. 1/60th. Pick the needle. Let's go test this battery here because it doesn't seem to be working. Always a good idea to invest in a cheap multimeter, sort of like this one here. This one, if I remember correctly, was like $8 on Amazon. Very handy for testing batteries and the like. This tests out at 3.15 volts, which is very right within the range of where it should be there, 3 volts at the minimum. Let's screw that back in there and see if there's a battery check mode of some sort. Or it might be a meter button. There's all different types of variances on these cameras. There you go. Half press the shutter, and that is how you meter. Usually there is either a metering switch or a metering trick to get it to meter without actually taking a shot. In this case, it appears the metering trick is to press down the shutter button halfway. There you go. Okay, so I see when you press it down halfway, it's not a fluid metering thing. It actually locks it where it is there. So I'll do a little bit further testing to figure out if this thing works properly. Yeah, seems to work. Okay, good. Had a little bit of a trick there. That one works. Clean the front and rear glass. Clean the grime off the lens mount, any dust off there. And that one's ready to go. Camera needs a quick treatment of the same sort. Just clean some dust around the outsides here and make sure it's all good and presentable for photos. Pretty simple. I don't do deep cleans of cameras ever, but sometimes I get in there with a Q-tip if I really need to. It's basically just a basic dust cleaning. Let's pull back the wind knob there to get a little bit farther in there. Clean the viewfinder a little bit. Actually get some dust and stuff built up in there. And there you go. Ready to go. Let's get them listed. Battery is going to run out on this camera, so I guess I was finished testing some other stuff here. That was just an SLR camera, and I'll definitely test some more layers today once I get to it. So here's a quick experiment I'm going to run this week. Actually, I've been wanting to try it for a little while. Different cameras, taking photos for eBay, and what is the difference between cheap and expensive cameras. There is a cheap SLR camera. That's the first one I'm going to be testing. Every day this week, I'll switch my camera. Probably this camera one day, normal camera another for control. Probably use one of these Sony NEX cameras, and I'll probably pick some other various cameras from where I have them there. And let's see how these take eBay photos and what the differences are. I'll definitely mention that each day. Not exactly a scientific test, but something I've been wanting to try, so let's try that out. Okay, so on the GoPro here for a little bit till my battery's charged. Are zoom lenses worth selling? There's a question They haven't been asked a lot, but I can answer pretty quickly, is that most inexpensive or aftermarket zoom lenses are not worth selling. That being said, there are some that are. This is Vivitar 75 to 300. Let's look it up and see if it's worth selling or not. As you can see on the bottom here, it says M/MD, standing for Minolta MD. That's just one mount of many that these lenses come in, but that will be helpful in determining whether or not it's worth selling. Just right off the bat, Minolta MD and Konica AR and Canon FD are 3 of the least desirable lens mounts. So this is in that group. Let's look it up. Before I look at sold here are the 3 listed. There's one at $24.99, one at $22.20, and one at $12.50 or best offer with Haze. So probably not worth selling. Thing is, we have sold these in the past. Basically, list them up, they sit for a while, and then they eventually sell, such as this one here for $33.89 plus shipping. So they do sell. This one's in not that great a shape, so probably not worth selling. If this was a Nikon mount, that's one of the better ones. And let's see, what's the mounts? Pentax K, it may be sellable. I'll look at this one here quick also. Also in Minolta MD mount, this is an Access 2880. A lot of rebadging went on too. This is a Vivitar, that's an Access. You know, they made them in probably 7 or 8 different brands, but they're all made by Cosina or similar. They had different manufacturers, Tamron, Cosina, Sigma, and they just rebadged them to suit their needs. Let's look that one up quick too. Generally, that's the kind of keyword that I use to look something up there. Access 28 to 80 millimeter, MD, basically just the focal length, which is marked right there, and then Access, which is the brand. And if I can't find anything for that, like in this case here, I might just look up 28 to 80, 3.5 to 4.5, which is the aperture, MD, with one hand here, and there you go. Generally that will bring something up here. As you can see, a lot of rebadges here. Albanar, Soligor, a few other ones there. Let's go highest to lowest in completed. And as you can see, there's a couple listed higher here. Not a lot selling. Like this one here in mint shape, silver 25 plus 9 shipping. So, general consensus matches up. Not generally worth selling. Not worth cleaning up in this case. This one probably would sell for us eventually, but generally I think we just lot these up, put them in a lot, sell them for $3-4 each in a large lens lot. Somebody else can deal with those. So, a couple lenses, couple cameras there tested up. The SX70 does not work. Anyway, this is actually a big piece of glass out of a Kodak Enlarger. The Kodak Enlarger, well, not Kodak Enlarger, Kodak Enlarger condenser lens here that we're going to be selling separately. As you can see here, we have the original box for it even. And this basically requires some basic cleaning. These are annoying though because they're uncoated piece of glass, super dust attracting, so you have to really be careful and figure out how to clean them so you get the dust off without adding more. So I guess I'll get those cleaned up. Generally, we'll just describe this as having a bit of dust in there because it's statically charged dust that tends to collect on these uncoated pieces of glass. It's pretty annoying to clean off. So I basically just clean them like any other lens I would clean. And this is the way this thing is designed here. It has one piece of heat absorbing glass because this is where the light is hitting that and you don't want to have a lot of heat there. That'll melt normal glass. Then you have the 2 normal glass elements and then the other side of it there. It's all in this nice folding enclosure. Just kind of folds back on there carefully. That should be cleaned up enough. If we ever really got into the condensers or something similar to that, I would definitely figure out how to get some sort of anti-static dust cleaning kit. But as we do it right now, just a basic cleaning is all that I do with these. For this case over here, we actually get a very interesting camera. It's actually a Wittnauer. A really funky one here is Zoom 800. And what this is actually a projector / 8mm film camera. Funny thing is, you know, like nowadays when everything's going lighter weight and all that, this thing would definitely not fly. It's basically just combining the utility of a projector and a camera in one, but meaning you have to carry around the projector while you're trying to use the cameras. That's pretty funny. Anyway, let's open this thing up here. Open switch. Pop that off there, and in the film compartment you can see some interesting directions, projection and rewind comparatively. This is what you raise for the projector thing. Have yet to figure out if this actually functions off the 3D batteries. If the projector actually does, I think that might just be for the camera. But there's a battery compartment that uses 3D size batteries. And yeah, still can't tell. I think it might have a plug-in though for the projector, and then it might just use the 3D batteries for the actual camera, which if that's the case, that's pretty crazy. But there's a plug-in for the projector. That is a very interesting camera and actually fairly uncommon. This one has the original power cable and the back wind knob, so that's pretty good. Let's see if I can get that working. Interestingly enough, unlike some other cameras that have springs and stuff, these actually use a set of battery retaining discs. This one unfortunately does not screw out like it's supposed to. These other ones did. And if you close that up, I put a nickel in there. And here that's running. check that's actually running, you can try to open this little hatch right here, and you can look in there a little bit. And that seems to be going just fine. Look through the lens there, you get a little bit of light in there, and yep, that one seems to be functioning correctly. Let's test the projector portion of it. Well, it's been a fun morning so far. Back at my normal camera here, and if you can see that, I'm sure you saw in Dealer's vlog there, we had a minor issue with that camera over there. Basically, Dealer called me away to look at something. I should have unplugged / not left that plugged in over here, and of course it left a burn mark in the carpet. I'm kind of dumb this morning apparently. One of the disadvantages of waking up at 5. Also, I watch here that I was wearing yesterday, scootering. Scootering is rough on watches. I need to remember that. I need to wear watches that are proper for it, more like G-Shocks or something. Anyway, I had 2 spring bar failures on this watch, and I replaced that. And then this morning, this is the one I was using yesterday night, I thought I felt a rattling noise in this one. Basically what the deal was, the dial had come unglued. If you can see that little super glue spot right there, and there's one more right there or something, I actually had to take it apart and re-glue the dial, which that only took me a minute, but it was kind of interesting. So I gotta watch out for that. With scootering and all that, need to be wearing a watch that is shock resistant at least. Should probably be more worried for the movements of some of these watches when you scooter with them and shock the movements that aren't anti-shock and all the other stuff have a risk of damaging them. So anyway, other than that, it's going pretty well. Tested out a bunch more cameras here. All this stuff is ready to picture, so let's get that going. So, first batch shot and edited out of this other camera here, the Canon EOS 10D. If you look these up on eBay, they've actually been going up recently here, but if you find a good deal like I did, you can get one of those for between $30 and $100. I think I paid only $20 for that one, but like I said, I got a good deal actually. So anyway, here are the first batch of photos out of here, and what I noticed right off the bat, first of all, a couple human error ones there where it's just a little bit blurry, a little bit overexposed, a little bit different dynamic range than my other one, which basically means how much of the bright is actually like in sharp and then how much dark. But all in all, very good experience. As you can tell, still a little bit of that green tinge to things here. If I do the no green preset that I have here, that changes it a bit. But I think that is just how my lighting setup over there works for some reason. Not exactly sure, as you can see. So anyway, they seem to have turned out pretty well. A little bit noisy also. Like I put this at 400 ISO for anybody who shoots cameras. And if you look closely there, there's definitely still a bit of noise. Not the worst thing in the world, but that's one of the limitations of these earlier APS-C film, or APS-C type sensor cameras. Still a bit tired here. Anyway, APS basically means 1.6 times crop factor, meaning they'll be more zoomed in than most other cameras. Those are edited. I might do a little bit of green correction on a couple of those. Ready to go up. This camera so far, not a lot of hiccups. When I turned it on here, you can always tell. Older camera, startup time is pretty slow. Not bad though. And here you go, another quick intermission here with some green corrected images. As you can see, a lot less green. One tip with lines like that that are green. Basically, instead of putting down both the green and aqua channels as I usually do, instead I just put down the aqua, and that doesn't get rid of this green stripe, as you can see, so I guess that works pretty well. Well, I haven't been vlogging a lot this morning, but there are all the items that I pictured listed there. If my count is correct, that is 11 items, so that's pretty good for a good morning there. And then after that, jumped into some watches. I have about 15 batteries replaced there, still more to go. I think the thing to do now, edit some vlogs. I need to finish up the Sunday vlog, which is almost ready to go, and then you get the Tuesday going here. Basically, the vlogs are way behind, and I gotta get those back going, back under control. It shouldn't be a big deal, just as long as I work hard on that stuff, and then I have a little bit of time extra to work on the vlogs. Let's get those up and going. 30 minutes. Okay, so back in the office after lunch, intermittent internet here, and there you go, the vlog is up for Sunday. Hopefully I can get a couple more up. Anyway, listing some camcorders and camcorder accessories. In this case, the camcorder didn't work correctly, so I'm listing the power adapter along with AV cable and USB cable separately. Listing the lens cap and neck strap in one, and I'm listing the remote separately. Those should go pretty well. Then I have this camcorder there, which probably works. These 3 over there that so far seem to be testing out. And I got a bunch more of these watches, batteries changed and tested. Some funky fossils and a few other ones there. All pretty good. So I guess I'm just working on some various stuff in the office right now. I'm sure nobody needs a cord wrapping tutorial, but I might as well just show you how I do it here since I'm wrapping up a bunch of cords. Basically, we have a whole bunch of different zip ties that I use with these cords. And basically, if it's like a flat cable like this, I'll just wrap it around my hand, making sure there's no bends in it, just so it looks nice and presentable. Just make it into a nice large loop. This one's going to be kind of annoying because it's kind of twisted. So I'll probably just take the brick and spin it there a little bit. Hopefully untwist that a little bit. And just wrap it up, zip tie it, and it should be good to go. Good presentation is important on things like this. Just my opinion. That was definitely a tougher wrap than most of these here because most of them aren't twisted a million times. So I just kind of twisted at the bottom and then I did this. And basically I'll leave that little bit out. Just squeeze it in the middle. From that, get a zip tie and put it around it. I've definitely done it a few different ways over the years, but so far I found this is the cleanest way and easiest way to do it. And let's take a knife or a pair of scissors and snip it right off, right about here. Give it that clean look. And there you go. Nice clean wrapped cable. Here's just a quick example of a, well, it's not exactly a bad wrap job because it's all wrapped up, but there is an example of what not to do. If you want a nice clean wrap, that's how we got it from somewhere we bought it from. So I'll take the rubber band off here and rewrap it in a zip tie, a couple zip ties here. And there you go, nicely wrapped. It's not always the big things. What is obviously you need to make sure your camera's working, all that, but sometimes it's the little things that people notice. Attention to detail is important in listing / selling stuff. Spend extra 30 seconds and get it right. Okay, well, pardon the GoPro angle here. I actually left my camera at home, so I decided not to go back and get that. Just going to film on the GoPro for the rest of the night here. As you can see, actually, there's a big spot where this big screen used to be that actually went home. I'm actually working on building a Dance Dance Revolution kind of setup thing there. So that's what's happening there. Other than that, back in the office here, and I got 3 vlogs edited here, actually. So pretty quick. Pretty good editing. And then I actually have a couple new things here to show off. I picked up a couple new watches. This one here, if you recognize it, actually, I used to have one of these. Sold it off a little while back. Probably shouldn't have sold it. But I found a great deal on this one for $60. Picked it up quick. I think I sold my other one actually worse shape. This one, I want to show you the photos of this item, and I want to show you this here. Okay, so not actually quite as bad as I remember it here, but as you can see in the photos, it shows a lot of little scratching and stuff around the face. And from the photos, I ascertained that this was pretty scratched up. Like, look at this here. It's kind of grungy and scratched and all that. So, I got a good deal on it, but it does look kind of bad in the photos. I actually got it here, though. And as you can see, it looks a lot better than picture. Because you can see those scratches there and whatever. But all it needed was a good cleaning. Basically, I just took a microfiber cloth, did a little bit of cleaning there. I didn't even polish it at all. Like, this is just straight out of box with a little bit of microfiber cloth cleaning. And now it is nice. Anyway, so I rebought that watch. I do like that watch. I shouldn't have sold the other one there, but I did make a little bit of profit because I sold my other one here for 110 in worse shape, and then I picked this one up for 60. Good deal. And then also I bought a watch from the business here. This is a Swatch from 1988. Pretty cool on the leather strap there. This one's called the Stoplight because it actually has the days around the outside ring there, so that's pretty cool too. Have a different NATO strap here on my Citizen, as you can see, and also put a different Komendowski strap. There's a few different watch things here that I've been doing lately. I put that strap back on there. But anyway, just keep on picking up little watches and things as I go. Eventually I'll have 1,000,000 watches, right? As for listing, I need to get some of this camcorder stuff going now that I got some of the vlogs edited, so let's get into that. So there's no screen in this thing, but obviously it's super wide angle, so I'm sure you can see it right here. Here are all the photos that I took with that camera there, the 10D again. A couple things I noticed in here, I have it set ISO 400 right now, which is a very low ISO, which ISO is low light standards, and as you can see, it's still a little bit noisy, especially in some of these different photos up ahead here. Definitely a little bit of grain in the photos. So that's one of the disadvantages of a cheaper camera. Cannot take photos in quite as low of light and get good photos. Of course, the texture of this camera is a little bit grainy anyway, so that kind of lends to it, but like right there, see a bit of grain. Also, this camera has these little red dots here, which are dead pixels, meaning it's an old camera. Comes up with a lot of those. Those are easily corrected if you really want to spend the time and do it. But anyway, turned out pretty good with that camera. Not a lot of difference besides that. The image quality and all that other stuff is pretty similar. In That's right, I forgot I was still on the GoPro tonight here, and there's some listings, camcorders, other cameras, bunch of stuff over there. That's about where I'm getting the listing for tonight. And actually, that's right around 19 listings, I believe. So anyway, I'm going to do a quick office cleaning, I think. But one other thing, some would call it distraction, or what some would call it scattered, I call it inspiration. I saw the Leica that has no screen and no like crazy stuff there. It's basically a film Leica, but it has a digital sensor in there. I was like, what can I do with one of my cameras to make it into one of those? I think I'm going to tape out my screen on this thing, turn it all manual settings, and I'm going to have basically a $6,000 Leica for free. Or at least if you count this thing as free. I have 4 cameras, so not a big thing, and I should be able to get some really cool shots with that. So let's try that out. Well, this thing certainly isn't pretty, but I'm not trying to make a fashion statement here. I'm trying to have a very usable and very, I don't know what you call it, manual camera, manual shooting experience. Taped off the top display, the back display. It's set to RAW, it's set to manual mode. Yeah, I can change the shutter speed and aperture with those 2 dials. I have my shutter button, and I have a couple other things for ISO and all that exposed. I can change everything through the viewfinder as far as I know. Clean the sensor, so I won't have to go into the menus for that. This is about as taped as it's going to get. Might do something to the bottom here. That is the manual camera. It'll be really interesting to try out. I tried it for 1/2 second, and the second after I took a photo, I looked at the back screen without even realizing it. So that's the whole thing with it. It's basically like going back to film. I haven't shot a film camera in a while either, so this will be a lot of fun. I can use manual focus lenses. I can use all kinds of stuff on there. Like I said, not pretty. I just basically locked down the camera. Should be fun. Really is a practice in something similar to film. Basically, you can shoot the whole day, and then you come home, pop your card to your computer, and you get to see what you got. Instead of having to develop your photos, just quickly added a Rubik's Cube photo here, kind of an oddball one. Black and white and all, and it should be a fun experience. So I definitely will use this camera a few different times. Gotta try it out, gotta figure it out. I'm shooting full manual, manual focus, manual aperture, manual exposure, all that kind of stuff. Should be fun. I've created an interesting camera. Obviously, if you really want to do this properly, you'd fill in all the buttons, you'd like permanently block out the screen. There'd be a few different things you could do. I just did some minor modifications to make it still usable and whatever if I ever decide to undo it. Now that's done over with, let's give a quick pan here of what I need to get done. Let's get a quick clean of the office, get all reset for tomorrow. I have a good tote of stuff here, so lay that out as well. So, more so an organization than a cleaning. As you can see, all the stuff that's in that tote is laid out there. That table over there is fairly clean to be able to sort stuff. This place is still a little bit of a mess. Will need to be cleaned tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching the vlog today, and that's where I'm going to end it right now at 20, right around 20 listings there. I'll put a number up on the board. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe below if you enjoyed. Stay tuned for another vlog tomorrow. No out. Goodbye.